Hi, I'm Shoma Chaudhury. Thanks for watching Inquiry. There's unfortunately been a bit of a gap in our episodes, so we have some catching up to do. So today, I'd like to introduce a wonderful guest that I spoke to some time ago on Inquiry. Sonali Bendre is a model and actress who embodies grace and resilience. In 2018, she was diagnosed with high-grade metastatic cancer. It was, to quote her, a curveball she wasn't really expecting. The doctors gave her just a 30% chance of survival. But Sonali beat the odds, and she's back not just on radiant feet, but a month ago, she made her first debut on OTT as an editor facing tough choices in a series called Broken News on Z5. It's a series that makes a much needed examination of the nature of TV news today, the competition, the corruption, the compromise, and the heartache. Pulling back as she has from the abyss, Sonali has an irrepressible energy that is profoundly moving and inspirational. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with her. Do watch. Sonali, first of all, a huge congratulations. You literally embody the phoenix, it's like you're just sort of reviving yourself from everything that life throws at you. And this one is so exciting because you're back on screen after a long time. So a huge congratulations and thank you for joining me on the show.
Thank you, Shoma. I think the last time we were together, we were on a stage and I barely had any hair. And we were talking about my journey and
Yeah, it really, and I know how much your hair matters to you. So, it's like a symbol of you. So looking as beautiful as you are and vibrant, you're really back on the road, So
thank you, Shoma. Thank you so much. How have you been?
I've been good. Really good. Yeah.
It's interesting what you've been doing with the thing. I mean, every time I see the links and I'm like, you've got some really interesting speakers on your shows and I've enjoyed watching some of them. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Sonali.
That's all of them, but I have really enjoyed them.
Thank you. It's really exciting to be speaking with you when you're back on the screen with Broken News on Z5. And, it's after such a long break on screen that you took this. So I first wanted to ask you what drew you to the script?
The character. Definitely the character. So I've been toying with the idea of, getting back to work. Well, Goldie, my husband, was always telling me that, this is the time you're going to really enjoy working and, you must get back to working. And so I was like, yeah, maybe, I'm not so sure. And, to go back to the whole situation. But, 2018, when I was in the hospital bed and when, it was more like, I'm going to make it through. And if I get this second chance, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my life? You kind of, when you're lying there, you're thinking about all of these things and somewhere you're kind of manifesting it and you want to visualize what are you going to do just so that you heal and you get better. And every time that I was thinking of it, the visual that came in front of my eyes was always of me being in front of the camera. And I just realized that though I have been an accidental actor and I just got into it by chance and took it on as a job and it was just a paycheck for a lot of time. But somewhere while it being a paycheck, I had kind of fallen in love with it and I really enjoyed what I was doing. And that lying in that hospital bed, thinking of what I'm going to do made me realize that I do enjoy it. So then when I came back, I said, once this healing process is done and I feel my strength back, what would I like to do? And that's when there were a couple of boxes that I needed ticked for me to do that. One was I wanted to play my age. And I wanted to look good while playing that age because I do feel that I'm looking really good. And most of us women look really good at this age. And somehow the moment they're of a certain age, they're made to look a little dowdy and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be like that. I wanted it to be real and I wanted it to be relevant to the society. I mean, just today's kind of a story. I wanted it to have hope and I wanted the character to have a really strong voice. And so when this script came to me, it was more than a script. It was a series called Press on BBC.
Yeah.
And BBC India came to me with this and they said, we want you to see it. Just don't judge it on the first 2 episodes. Just see the whole thing. And, we would be we really want you for this role. So I saw it and it was not a show that I was going to headline. It's an ensemble cast, but I thought that was the beauty of it. And basically this character ticked all the boxes that I wanted for me. So there was for a little while, I was like, shouldn't I? And then I said, you know what? It's the same trap. It doesn't matter if you're headlining it or not. You need to enjoy the process, and it needs to tick these boxes. And so there I was. I said yes to it, and I took the plunge, and no regrets at all. I have enjoyed it tremendously, and it's been such a learning experience for me.
So before, I'm actually, for the audience that may not have watched it, we should establish that it is about the news, the nature of the news and media in the country today. And it's wonderfully, I like that it reminded me of, that film Parasite, which has like a vertical structure, because you have the guy who's Jaideep Alawat's character, he's on the top floor, breaking news, TRPs, and you're below trying to really hold up the foundation of the media,
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. And Radha, played by Shriya, somewhere in between.
Yes.
But that is the beauty of it. Like you said, the show is about, I just feel that the show shows you the human beings behind the headlines. And like you said, the state of the media today in the country, I would say in the world, all over, it's the same state. And I think somewhere we are all in midst of this huge change, which, social media and this onslaught of information has got. Also, technology has done that. I mean, everybody who has a camera and a phone is now a journalist. And so there's just so many voices that it is a noise, and everybody is trying to be heard above the other person. And so it's just it's just really loud and very, very noisy right now. And I do feel that somewhere as we go forward as a society, we're going to look back at this period of change, and we're going to say, oh my God, this is what was happening. Because I think media as we know it, as we knew it, has changed completely. But we are still judging it and looking towards it from those eyes as to how it used to be. Like, for example, for me, while I was growing up, you were always told, for general knowledge, read the news every day. It was knowledge.
Yeah.
But now we need to understand that it's information. And the moment you kind of de-link that, you're not going to be so judgmental about it, and you will take everything the way it's meant to be taken. So everybody has their biases, and they've always had it. It's never been that every human being has a bias. And I just feel that as long as you know where the bias is from, and as a viewer, I need to know that I need to look at it from different perspectives. So I need to wait before I form an opinion. I need to make an informed guess, do my due diligence, look at it from different perspectives, and then form an opinion. We are also quick to jump to conclusions, form opinions, pass judgment. It's just, we are in such hurry about it. While we just all need to kind of step back and, understand that, just breathe. And, like literally, it's just that. So for me, Broken News was that it just showed you the human beings behind the headlines, or human beings behind the bylines. It's so hard to get that byline, the struggle that they go through to get that byline, the choices that you have to make. And every time it's not so easy to make a choice. Like they say that for actors or for film industry, as they call it, and it's so easy for people to jump to conclusions. Yeah. But you're young when you come in, and sometimes you make choices, and then to be stuck with that choice is not fair. You need to be given a second chance. You need to be able to make kind of be able to step out of it.
Shifts,
make the shift. Sometimes you're able to, sometimes you're not able to, because life is like that, circumstances are like that. And that's what human beings are all about. We are all flawed. And it was so important to understand that that's where it is. So if when you see the show, you will see that there's a balance, and that you can see that every individual, even Amina, while she's trying to hold up that foundation as you described it, is still flawed in her own way. The degree of it might be different, but we all have our flaws. And that is what attracted me to the show.
Yeah. No, you put that really well, because again, just speaking, because we needed a show actually about the media, because it becomes a space for reflection. And like you said, not again to have a black and white position, but to understand how difficult it is, what's at stake, without forgiving what's gone completely wrong, and in a sense, the whole profession is full of fantastic individuals. Absolutely. But the structure is rotting in many ways, so.
But I think that is I think it's the same with our society. So it's just that, and media is part of the society. I think we are all going through this huge change, and we've just been, the kind of onslaught of information and tech that has happened. It's never happened before, and we are all kind of grappling with it and coming to terms with it. And that's why, by storytelling, and if you can get people to watch it and start conversation about it, I thought it's the best way to kind of get conversations started. Or say my parents, if they're going to watch this, for the generation that they come from, for them to kind of understand that, oh, is this what happens behind the scenes? And, so just be able to look at it, look at maybe the WhatsApps that they're getting, with a new, like, is this the right thing? Just even if they could just question it once.
Yes.
Yeah, it would help.
Yeah. No, and even Jaideep's character, the Dipankar, the trajectory he makes from where he began to, like you said, making a choice to just to cave in and join the rat race and become.
And you can't blame him for it. I mean, so many of us, everybody doesn't come from a place of security, and and when you come from a place of insecurity, it is so easy to just grab because you're insecure. You've seen it and you fear it, and so you can't blame the human being for that.
Yet on that, I mean, I know, but it's interesting because it's also what for me was wonderful is that this, like you said, becomes a platform for actually discussing this. And, Sonali, I mean, we're in this strange zone where we either just now allow and accommodate for everything, or it's like a medieval witch hunt, and it's black and white and everyone's either evil or good. But in this, so I don't want to be in that black and white for sure. But in saying that, we can't really blame anyone, especially in the space of the media, which really impacts society. It's like what you always say, you do have a choice, I mean, you have a choice to curtail your life, but not make certain choices, and I think that because the media, when you accommodate everything and you say, yeah, but greed is okay, and to be secure, you can toxify a society. That's somewhere you got to
I would say, like, see, if you're looking at say like Dipankar and Amina's character for that matter, I mean, I would say Amina makes the choices, and she makes some hard choices at certain point of time, and it's not easy, the choices she makes, but she does it. And somewhere the first time round you can forgive a person for making the choices that they make. But the second time around, when you know what is at stake, and if you still make that choice, then I don't know if you can forgive that person so easily at that point of time. So I am definitely not saying that you should just forgive and it's all balanced. No, I don't mean that. But I do mean that everything is not black and white. And if we can just understand the workings behind it, we can start kind of, and like I said, eventually it is, there's a lot. I mean, viewers need to understand that the power that they have. If you're not watching something, if you're not giving the numbers, it's not going to get made. And, I remember saying this in 90s when we were doing the movies we were doing, and we were being questioned about what is this kind of movies that are being made. I said, but those are the only ones who are working, and then eventually it's a business model. And, so that is something that has gone on and on in various ways. And eventually we as society need to be responsible for what we are watching, what we are putting out there. And we cannot put the blame on somebody else. I have to be responsible for my actions. Yeah. And everybody needs to take that onus.
The clarity with which you speak, also stems from the immense challenge that you've been through when you had this metastatic cancer, and we've spoken earlier, but not on this show, so I do want to delve into that, about how it shifted your whole way of thinking. But before that, just about this entire experience, the OTT platforms are giving so many people a genuine new lease of creative life. I had Pooja Bhatt on the show a while ago, and she'd come back to screen after 18, 20 years with a very powerful performance. There's there's Neena Gupta, there are others. And you just said about enjoying the process. So what was different about this process and say being back in the 90s? And I'm not going to generalize and say all cinema, but say, you left that. What is different about the creative process now?
The tech is different. Again, we keep coming back to technology, but OTT platforms is also technology. In the same way, the cameras are so different. The way the cameras are moving now are different, because they were so big, and when the camera moved, you knew it was moving around you. Here, the camera kind of sneaks up on you, and so the way you kind of shoot it is different. Also, OTT platforms is like a long form of cinema. You can layer your characters so much more. You get more chances to do, play with it a lot more.
Yeah.
And it is exciting to do that. But that also means that the editing is a bit different. The screenplay writing is a bit different. So the rhythm is different. And also what it has done, and like actors like Jaideep and Shreya, who bring a different rhythm to what they are doing and the way they are doing it. And that's not something that I had been a part of. So for me, coming onto a set, knowing that these are the actors who who are so completely prepared that when they come in and they're doing it, they are that character. It was a bit nerve-wracking, and I was like, am I going to be able to do it? And it needed preparation, but I enjoyed that journey. I enjoyed the preparation. I actually had a bound script, so I could prepare. So yeah, that was like a great joy for me.
Yeah. So, before I want to come back a little bit to your craft, but before that, just to go back to the media, because like I said, it's a launch pad for thinking about it, that in recent past, because the show also takes in that in extreme sensationalization of news and, the way news is presented, the way it intrudes, which are the stories, say from real life, which you would pick, which has really disturbed you in the recent past, and which you feel is what the show resonates with as well. Can you pick one or two stories from real life which has bothered you?
A lot of stories, have bothered. And I think somewhere the way to deal with it was to kind of stop watching. So I just kind of stopped watching news networks and went back to reading. Or I kind of literally get my news from, shows like yours, where, we are kind of discussing things, and, I get information from it and I get the knowledge from it. So that's the way I dealt with it. But the jumping to conclusion about people, kind of literally conducting a trial without really things going to the court, and you're jumping to conclusions, and then there's no apology when you've got it wrong. All that is shocking. I remember in 90s we used to always say that when they used to write these nasty things about us, and when they were proved wrong, we would get a little tiny 2 lines somewhere of on the 5th or 6th page, and nobody ever knew that the apology had happened, but that is how it was. So the same thing, but on a hugely larger scale. So it would be like, if that was 4, this is 4,000, and that kind of scale is scary.
Yeah.
Because, what we were saying at that point, we could still laugh it off, and we would say, oh, this is what is being done. But at this kind of size, when it is happening, it's scary, because you're ruining lives, at that point of time. So it's something which made me just kind of say that I can't deal with it. This is going to get me going, take me down into a rabbit hole, and just to keep my sanity, you just kind of stop watching it and go back to reading.
Yeah. I think you really summed it. I think the heart of it, you said it very well earlier, that it's not that the media ever was without bias. It's not possible to be, because as human beings, but what was happening at a scale of 4 and is now become 4,000, like you said. And also earlier, the buck stopped somewhere. There was at least some norms for the profession, and now it really seems like there are absolutely none. So
yeah.
That's what.
Where are the boundaries now? Because every person who has a phone is literally a journalist nowadays, and are sending in things, and you're watching things, and suddenly what you see is believable for people rather than so the boundaries are just kind of dissipated.
There again, and I'm kind of keeping on linking it back to your show, and I think the title is so strong, Broken News, is that we do blame social media, and there's a lot of that, but somewhere I think, that reflection for us within the profession is that if the keepers of the profession, those who are identified as journalists, stuck somewhat strongly with their norms, then the social media, it's exactly what you just said, that distinction would be there, that this is social media, but this is news that whether I agree with them or not, I'll know that that information is correct, not that it's just false news floating around or it's speculation passing as news, so
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah.
To come back to your character, if you were to entice an audience to watch this by articulating the heart of your character, you said she's a woman of voice, she's a woman of strength. But if you were to, like I said, if you were to use this show to really entice someone to watch it, how did you understand the heart of your character?
For me, I love the vulnerability of Amina. I love how if you look at her personal life, she doesn't have one, and it's just so messed up. And here she is, Amina, who's so in control on one side and is just so out of control on the other side. And that for me was wonderful to play. And now that the show is on air, and if you'll see that the way Amina has been played, I mean, you'll see that she likes her glass of whiskey, and she has that. So and there is immense amount of loneliness, in her personal life. And sometimes just out of when you're young, you think, oh, I want my space and I want, but when you get to a certain age, it is loneliness. And what is it that you're looking for then? When you're looking for companionship, and you can be making mistakes at that point of time because you are lonely. So all those things, the human side of it, the vulnerable side of Amina was what was also very, very attractive to me, because that was so human and so possible. And I do see that when you've given yourself to a profession to a certain degree, because also this profession calls for that kind of dedication. There are going to be breaking news at any given point of time, and you're suddenly kind of rushing, and you have deadlines to be met. So somewhere, most of the people, and you can see that in all the characters on the show, you will see that the what do you say, the fulfilling part of their life is their profession, and all of them have a slightly not so fulfilling, unbalanced kind of a personal life. And you see that in journalism, because that's the kind of
Relentless
job it is. Yeah, relentless, you said it, that's the thing. It's so relentless. Yeah, that was attractive.
Yeah. Like I said, this regeneration of yourself is also mirroring another regeneration that you've just had. And of course, you've spoken of it elsewhere. But like I said, you were in the bloom of your life, and you're suddenly with no, literally no announcement, you have a little pain, and then you suddenly find you're in stage 4 cancer, metastatic. Can you help our audience understand, what was the journey that you've made from when you first discovered that to who you are today? What was who was Sonali that heard that news, and who's the Sonali today? What's the radical shift in you?
I think I was, when I look back, really, Shoma, I was so, though I was a parent, and, I had worked for so many years, and I was, I had reached a certain point. But now when I look back, I feel like I really knew nothing. I just feel that I was so raw in that sense. I feel like I have lived so much more in these 4 years than I did in the earlier, say 40 years, So that's how I would describe that, because it was like literally a bolt out of the blue. And as you say, that you don't expect it, and you say, how can this be happening to me? And then first it is disbelief, anger, pity, why me? I went through all of that till it came to a point that this is not serving any purpose. And I'm like, there has to be a reason why this is happening to me. And the day I could stop, fighting it, and say that, what, this has been given to me for a reason, and I accept it I accept it humbly. And I'm sure this has happened to me because I have to learn something from it. And you know what? It is hard, but to get true knowledge, it's never easy. It will always be hard. And hopefully, this is going to give me something that is going to be true knowledge. And I'm going to learn something from this, and I'm going to grow from here. And that is how I took it. And the day I could accept it that way genuinely from inside is where the recovery started, the healing started. And I could, it's been a slow process because, the body has taken so much. And it's an ongoing process. I'm still a work in progress in that sense. But but I think it's been an amazing journey. And I'm happy where I am. And I know it's been hard to get here. So I'm very proud of myself also that I made it till here. And everybody who supported me on the way and every kind of help that I've taken has all taught me something. And so, like I said, this 4 years has been more than any 40 years would have taught me.
Yeah. It's amazing you spoke of it in that way, Sonali, just that to turn this into a forum for learning, and like you said, to just accept, that's such a release. And again, when we're talking about resonating with society and where whoever is watching this, to know that within themselves, even if they have not faced your circumstance, that I think the biggest thing strapping everyone down is the idea of fear. It's the fear to do something, it's the fear to take a stand, it's a fear to live by, fear kind of in different avatars dominates many lives. I cannot imagine something more, well,
if I may interrupt, I think we've all gone through it in the last 2 years. What I went through at that point, this is the same journey. I think the whole world has gone through it in the last 2 years. It's been unprecedented. None of us expected it, and it was shocking. And it has been, like you said, when you don't know something and you feel, oh my God, what is happening? But I feel the whole world has gone through exactly what I was going through in a different way with COVID. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I wish it had similar outcomes on a mass scale.
I was hoping it would.
Yeah, everyone thought this transformation, radical challenge the earth has never faced. We're all going to
maybe it's happening somewhere. Maybe.
Well, it doesn't look like that at all. We've gone back to our wild ways in a very big way. Russia-Ukraine war,
absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm not going to let you draw that easy comparison. I'm bringing you back to your life.
That's true. Actually, it looks like we just don't learn.
So to come back to you, was that you spoke of that acceptance. What was the other big thing, your relationship with fear and yourself? How did that change? And how is that expressing itself in the way you're living your life?
I think that that was another pact that Goldie and me made, that, if we get through this, which it was like, I will. And he was like, you are going to get through this. And you know what? Somewhere, and we remember as teenagers, when you're teenagers till your 20s, that's a period where you feel you're invincible and you're so fearless, and you're so like, whatever comes in front of you, you are sure you're going to, you can manage it, you can get over it, and you can work through it, and you can work harder and all of that. And as you grow, and especially when you become parents, you kind of become very fearful. And without really kind of realizing that had happened to us, we realized that as we turned parents, we turned very fearful. And we promised ourselves that, if we make it through this, we're going to try and find and hold on to that fearlessness of our teens, and hopefully temper it with the experience that we have. And that would be a winning combination. So we are hoping to kind of mix the two and get that, go through the rest of our lives with that winning combination.
That's, really, Sonali, I was just thinking of that when you said that there's that innocence and actually hopefulness of youth. And that's by and large, regardless of even your social or material circumstance. You just believe life is lying ahead for you. So it's wonderful you put it like that. But, Sonali, every time I've met you, before this hit you, even when we spoke, on the India Today platform, where you broke down, but because you were more remembering the vulnerability. But whenever you're on a platform, like now, you're just, 4,000% radiant. While that is a super source of strength and optimism for people, when people are in a dark space, it makes you feel, oh, maybe I'm not like pulling myself together the way Sonali did or where others did, so it's kind of sometimes important, like you said, to share the vulnerability of it as well. So would you talk a little bit about, was it easy to make that switch? Did you have ups and downs? Was it roller coaster? Was there a marked
So,
shift? What was the journey?
in fact, we've been talking so much about social media, but I think for me, social media was the tool to help me with that, because I run a book club called Sonali's Book Club. And just the fact that I needed to read a book and put it out and have the conversation would make me say, yeah, put on the kajal, put on the lipstick, put the, this thing on, and do the conversation. And the kind of support I got from the community really, kind of kept me going. Every time that I was low and it was just about, let's pick up the book. Or if I picked up a really dark book and everybody writing into me that, like, ma'am, I don't think this is not the time and you should be reading the book, and all of that. So that really helped me. Or the fact that when I lost the hair and, I was like, I'm not going to step out ever and look at the way I'm looking or whatever. And I step out and then I realized that, look, I stepped out and it's fine. And then, that voice in me which says that, yeah, but you're not in your country and nobody really knows you. What if you were there? You are kind of taking the easy way out. And I said, you know what? No. And, put that picture with the bald head, put it on the social media. The whole world has seen you like that. And suddenly it just kind of liberates you that what are you hiding from? Everybody has seen you like this. This is the way it is. And it just liberates you. But having said that, these are all what you can work on. But that doesn't mean that you don't take real help. And what I mean by that is that whenever I felt that I can't cope with it anymore, I have reached out, asked for help, gotten into therapy, gone into counseling, and that has actually helped me through. So every time, and like for example, for just to be completely honest about it, not just when I was going through the treatment, but much later, when during COVID, when we lost Irfan, and when we lost Chintuji, and and at that point of time, we lost my friend's father, and we lost somebody else, and they were all in treatment together with me. The treatments were going on around the same time, and it was very hard. And I literally spiraled into a very dark space, at that point of time, and it was very difficult for me to get out of it. And I could not get out of it. It was just too hard. And I was like, gosh, I'm not able to do this by myself. Just reading that book or just going on social media, none of that was really helping. It was very dark. So I went into therapy. I called up, asked for help, and I went into therapy. And I think that is what we need to do. We need to identify that. And there is no shame in asking for help. And there is no shame in going into therapy. It helps. It helps rather than wallowing in it that much longer. Just kind of help yourself, ask for help, and pick yourself out of
it. So what reorientation did you need? Like now, when you were, what shocked you about it? It brought back, was it just a sense of loss? These are people you've known, they're friends. Or did it bring back the danger you were in? Yes. And what reorientation did the therapy do for you?
So it did. It brought back. It reminded me of the fact that and you also asked that, how come I made it? I mean, what is the reason? What am I doing about it? But I seem to just be taking care of myself and trying to heal, and I'm really not doing anything much for the society in that sense. And just kind of understanding. Going into therapy and understanding that you don't have to move mountains. And I remember speaking to you about it, but I forgot that at that point of time. And I needed my therapist to explain that to me, that every little thing that you do can be a huge difference. And you don't have to move the mountains. It can be the little things. And, just kind of understanding that and figuring out what was it that was taking you down. What was it that mattered? What was it? Was it just the guilt that you survived and somebody else didn't? What was it? Just understanding these various things. I mean, look at Irfan. What a talent. I mean, and he was just in the prime of his talent and all of that. And he was gone. so many things that you ask, and therapists are trained to heal you in that sense. So, that was very important, and it just pulled me out of that phase. Yeah.
So, Sonali, I could talk to you much longer, but I'm just going to leave you with two questions, and hopefully we'll have occasion to talk longer when you're not. I know your team asked me to make sure that we finish quickly, but I would love to probe this much more. Is that your relationship with your child, and I know this is something that, again, anyone listening to this conversation will be interested. That how did that change? Because when you were in the midst of your crisis, he was 8 or 9. He was quite young.
He was 12. Yeah.
Yeah, he was 12. And now, when you're saying that there's almost a guilt for surviving, that again, it's very interesting.
I don't feel that now anymore. At that period, I did feel it. And that's what therapy helped me with, which, kind of realigned my priorities and showed me what I needed to live for. And I didn't feel that guilt because I had some things to do and I needed to do that in life. So that did help me with that. But it's very interesting, my relationship with my son really changed because he was 12. And I think I was never a helicopter mom, but I did hover over him a bit, and I was a hands-on mother. So it was, Goldie was out shooting a lot longer. So it was all about me and him. And, so I traveled I never had help with me when I traveled or any of that, because it was more about him and me and Goldie, him and me. It was just more of that unit.
Yeah.
So at 12, when the way he dealt with what I was going through, I looked at him not like a child, but like an individual, nearly an adult, not exactly an adult, but nearly there. But I saw in him not my son, but Ranveer Behel, an individual who can think for himself. And that, I think, was the best thing that happened to him, because I backed out of his life. I gave him much more independence. And I think that's made our relationship today, when he's 16, I think it's a great relationship where we can talk about things, and, where he will still come and he will suddenly smother me with kisses or hug. And, you don't have teenage boys doing that, but he does that. But I think that moment and understanding and giving him that space, and, treating him more like an adult or as an individual, kind of changed that equation, and it helped me in dealing with his teenage, I would say.
So, touch wood, knock on wood, but your very being exudes optimism, Sonali. It's like, it's got, I know you love your hair, and I know, in fact, I'm going to ask you about that, but I know you kind of located your personality in that a lot. But there's a kind of inner joy in you, which you're really transmitting now, and I'm going to come back to your hair as my parting note, but you also said that the show ultimately is optimistic, So to come back to the show, what was the optimism in the show that you felt, when you're actually talking about breaking news, about broken news and media that has toxified itself? What is the optimism within that?
The optimism for me is that there is going to be new way, Shoma, like you found a new way to tell us what it is as it is, and without diluting things. It's knowledge again. When you do those amazing talks that you do, it's knowledge. You found a way. And I do feel that that's the way. We are all going to find a new way. And that would be the new normal, like how with my illness, I found my new normal. And I think we will find that new normal. And this would be the new normal, I feel. And I think the show does go ahead towards that. And my character also says that, when she says that you can only get advertising in free. If you want the truth, you have to pay for it. Yeah. And I think that is the hope. And that is what viewers need to understand, that if you want the truth, then the ones who are giving you the truth, you need to fund them. So that I think is a very, very important lesson. And that's what is hope for me.
Yeah, I always say that actually, if we can create a culture of paying for intellectual content in the country, you'll pay it for coffee, you'll pay it for a shirt, but you won't pay for content or
That's
for
so sad.
knowledge or information,
And that's what that in the end, that's what Amina says, that if you मुफ्त में सिर्फ publicity होती है, advertising होती है. अगर आपको सच्चाई चाहिए तो you have to pay for it.
Yeah. So to end on your most favorite part of yourself, which is your hair, and
Well, I'm so excited. They came back in curls, but they're straightening out again. Yeah.
But since so much has changed, I'm so glad your hair is back, and I'm glad. But has your relationship with hair, beauty, sense of yourself changed?
Yeah, like I said, that earlier probably I would still think about, oh, my arm's not shaped exactly the way it would have been so many years back and whatever. I think I am okay with the beauty in imperfection now, and I think I have understood it, I've acknowledged it, and I've accepted it, and I'm really comfortable with it now. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sonali. I hope very quickly there's occasion for us to have another longer conversation where I don't feel a team in my head worrying about the time. But thank you so much. And I'm going to be watching the next 7 episodes tonight, and I will
message me once you've seen it.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.